What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Dominic Rich, and I have my guest Ryan Anderson and Football Pharoah with me today to do Conmebol 2022 FIFA World Cup Qualifiers tier list, where we're going to rank all 10 Conmebol nations according to where we think they stand in terms of them qualifying for the 2022 World Cup. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Ryan, how are you feeling today, bro?
I'm doing great. Can't wait to make some big calls, make some big predictions, maybe shock some people. I don't think so, but you could always shock somebody, so it's going to be a fun one.
Ryan, tell the people where they can find you as well. The links will be in the description box down below.
You can search up my name right there as it is in the window. Ryan Anderson, that's my YouTube channel. Make a lot of CONCACAF content, TFC content. Also do talk about some other sports sometimes. You can find me on YouTube, find me on Twitter, Ryan Anderson _27. You want to find me on Instagram, just change that underscore to a period because Twitter's weird. TikTok is the same. And that's basically the big places where you can find me.
Lovely. Football Pharoah, the one and only. How are you feeling today, bro? Tell the people where to find you. How are you?
Hey, Dom. Thanks for having me on again. As always, it's good to be with you and good to meet Ryan Anderson himself. I'm looking forward to today. We're going to go through 3 different confederations, give our rankings as far as where these teams are, as their prospects to qualify for the World Cup. You guys can find me on my YouTube channel, Football Pharoah, or also on Twitter with the same name, Football Pharoah, at Soccer Pharoah. That's at Soccer Pharoah. For content that I sometimes don't have on my YouTube channel.
Lovely. So today we're going to be talking about Conmebol. This is not as heavy as UEFA, where there was 55 nations, or you could look at Africa, where there's 40 nations. It only has 10, and it's not as easy as it looks, but it's going to take less time, way less time. So to kick things off today, we just going to touch on the format. The format is very simple. 10 teams. The top 4 qualifies directly for Qatar, while the 5th place team goes into an intercontinental playoff. And the last time around, it was versus the team from OFC, where Peru defeated New Zealand. So am I right, guys? Am I right with the format there?
Yes.
Yeah, last time around, yeah.
Yeah, just want to clarify that. We want to give you the top-notch information. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to put the teams into tiers according to how we think they stack up going into the qualifiers for Qatar. Visa denied are teams that we think stand no chance. They won't make it when compared to the other teams. Missed the flight, teams that will show a bit of promise, but will eventually not make the cut. Standby, teams that we are kind of on the fence with. We think they can make it, but we don't really. We're not sure. And then there's going to Qatar. We're positive 1,000% sure that they're gonna make it. So let's kick things off today. And Football Pharoah, you pick. Who do you want to start with?
I feel like maybe we could go from bottom to top, so let's go with Bolivia.
All right, so let's talk about Bolivia. Ryan, where do you have Bolivia in terms of their chances going to Qatar here?
I have them in visa denied. They are pretty much one of the teams that have really no chance of being lucky, picking up points. I don't see a Cinderella run. Their talent isn't really on the level of even a Peru. They've got players, but I just don't see them doing much. They can pick up points here and there, but I think their chances are pretty much kaput. I think they could be a team that can upset somebody once off or twice off, but that's pretty much their ceiling for me.
Well said. I definitely echo your thoughts for Bolivia. They have qualified for the World Cup on 3 different occasions back in 1930, the first one, 1950, and in 1994, where they last made it, USA World Cup. Bolivia they are not the weakest team, but when they travel away, they don't stack up too well. But at home, at the altitude, they could be a force to be reckoned with. And they're not a team that produce a lot of big stars or anything like that, but they could give you a fight at home. So their home form, very good, but their away form, not so good. So I also have, I will also have Bolivia. I made a prediction video. I have them at the bottom, so definitely visa denied. Football Pharaoh, your thoughts on Bolivia?
Yeah, I have them at visa denied as well. I think that, like you alluded to, Bolivia at home in La Paz at high altitude, they could give teams a really difficult outing, and it's allowed them to get famous results in the past. You won a golden nugget back in 2010 World Cup qualifying. They put Argentina to the sword 6-1 at high altitude. They're a side that away from home, though, they're perpetual underachievers. They don't do particularly well in Copa America tournaments either. You have to go back to the 90s where they really made a real run in their own Confederations regional tournament. And, despite having some guys in their teams, like some veterans like Marcelo Martins Moreno, and you have this other guy, Erwin Saavedra. He scored a couple of goals for them in this most recent Copa America. They just don't really have the depth overall to challenge for a top 5 spot. So, yeah, they're not going to go to Qatar. Visa denied.
Well said. They're currently coached by Cesar Farias. Don't know how long he'll keep his job, but we could all agree that Bolivia goes into visa denied. So we're gonna put them right there, and I'm 100% sure that they will not qualify for Qatar 2022. So Bolivia currently 8th in World Cup qualifiers. After 6 matches, they're ahead of Venezuela and Peru on 5 points. Let's see how long they remain above the aforementioned teams, or could they continue to climb? Could they continue to ascend towards the top of the table? I don't think so at all. I really don't think so. So this is something that we all agree on. Bolivia won't be making it to Qatar. Ryan, pick the next team.
I got Peru in visa denied.
Okay, so why?
Because their team is sort of aging out. They do have talent, but against teams like Venezuela, Ecuador, Argentina, Brazil, they're sort of caught in this corner of trying to get the juice out of their players and try to make a run, but they really can't. And I think they're going to feel the power of these other teams. It's not their fault that they're at this level, but it's just father time. And the fact that other teams have bigger stars, better players, and that's just the facts of international football sometimes. So that's why I got them in visa denied.
Well said. So you're putting them in visa denied?
Yes.
Okay. So Football Pharaoh, what are your thoughts on Peru? They made the final of the Copa America in 2019. They did qualify for the 2018 World Cup as well after a very, very long hiatus, 1982. And they previously made it in 1930, 1970, and 1978. So between 70 and 82, they had a golden generation, but things just waned and they were back at 2018. But as Ryan said, it's an aging team. What are your thoughts on Peru?
I think Peru got off to another poor start in the qualifiers. That's why currently they are at the bottom of South American standings for 2022. And one thing that I would keep an eye on for Peru is the fact that it's still very early in South American qualifiers. There are still 12 match days to go with only 1/3 of the games played. They did get to the final of the Copa America a couple of summers ago, and they finished in 4th place of the Copa America this summer. Peru has sort of basically gone on a run of Copa Americas in the last 10 or so years. They've reached the semifinals in, I believe, 4 of the last 5 Copa Americas, but only made it to 1 World Cup. With their manager, Ricardo Gareca, still at the helm, I have a little bit more faith in Peru. I think that they're still a team that has the capability to go on one more run and make it back to Qatar. I don't know if they will, but with guys like Gianluca Vargas and you have Andre Carrillo, this guy Pena, another player Yeri. No, not Yeri Mina. Wow, he's Colombian. My bad. I don't know. I think that I'm not necessarily ready yet to sign Peru's death warrant. I think that they could mount a late surge and make it back to the World Cup, even if they have to do it the hard way like last time through the playoffs. And because it is still early in South America, I actually have them in standby.
I think you're very kind in terms of how they stack up. When I made my prediction, I had them sixth. So I'll say for me, I'll say Peru. They're gonna miss the flight in my opinion. So I'm just gonna put them in miss the flight. Ryan has them in visa denied. Football Pharaoh has put them on standby, and I think that is based on the strength of their recent Copa America, and their successes in the Copa America, where they have been a surprise team in those competitions. But it hasn't been a good start. And when you come up against the better teams, are they going to be able to pick 3 points? Because a 1 point here, 1 point there isn't going to be good enough. It isn't. But what could actually work for Peru is continuity. I know Ryan mentioned age and the aging of the players and everything, and might not be able to keep up with a fresher Brazil or Argentina or Colombia, who's always bringing in fresh talent. But continuity could actually work for them. The fact that the players know each other and they've been playing with each other for a while, guys like Renato Tapia, Luis Advincula, there's Cueva, and there's a goalkeeper, Pedro Gallesi. They have a lot of talent in their team, but I just don't think they're going to make it to back-to-back World Cup. So sorry any Peruvian fans watching this, man. Prepare for 2026. I think you have a better chance then.
Well, the interesting thing there is we have 3 different rankings between the 3 of us.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to move on to the next team. Let us talk about a team from South America who's very easy to analyze, and that is Venezuela, who has never qualified for a single FIFA World Cup. Football Pharaoh, do you have any knowledge of the closest they've ever got to making it to any World Cups?
Yeah, they missed out on the playoffs by just a couple of points back in 2010. I believe they finished with around 22, 23 points, which they were pipped eventually by Uruguay, who went to that playoff against Costa Rica. That was the closest in recent times they've come to World Cup qualification, but 2014 and 2018 were both relatively miserable campaigns. I believe in one of them they finished dead last. So Venezuela, they're the only South American country to have never appeared in any World Cup. That's something that they want to one day eventually correct.
Yeah, they have been showing improvements, though, but we know of the instability that has been going on in the country. It hasn't really affected the football much, but they haven't again made a lot of progress since the last World Cup cycle. They have good players. Wilker Farinez, their goalkeeper, Yangel Herrera. There's Salomon Rondon. There's a few more. There's Rincon, and I don't know if Rincon is still even active. Yes, he's the current captain, as a matter of fact, and Rondon is their highest goal scorer. But could this team, under interim coach Leonardo Gonzalez, and from the last analysis I did, they had a manager and he left. I think he left because of non-payment. And I actually bumped into an article that he didn't get paid for at least, I think, a year and a half or something like that, which is simply ridiculous.
Wow.
So, yeah, so Venezuela, man, I don't know, man. His name is Jose Pesero. So I hope he gets compensated, man. I hope he gets those pesos one day. Get it? Pesos. Ryan, as a matter of fact, Football Fair, I ask you first. Where do you have Venezuela? I'm very curious. Going to Qatar, maybe?
No, it would be nice to see them in the World Cup one day, but it's not going to come next year. I do rate them higher than the likes of Bolivia, and I think that they are a team that can cause a lot of trouble on their day, and they can go away and get results away from home. But I have them at visa denied as well. I just think that, like you mentioned, the state of their football hasn't really improved or taken off in the last few years. They still have some really promising players. You got Salomon Rondon. He's 31 years old now. He also has 31 goals for his country. Joseph Martinez, who plays for Atlanta United.
A
couple of MLS guys. Jose Martinez for Philly Union. They can't be underestimated, but I just think that there's just too many teams right now that are in way better form than they are. So I have them in visa denied.
Yeah, they're a type of team that would be that banana peel towards the end of qualifiers, like the last time around. Remember the last time around? They were doing the business when they really put out that very youthful team. Remember they did well in the under-20 World Cup. They had a really good under-20 team, and they really did well in the back end of the 2018 World Cup cycle. Ryan, where do you have Venezuela?
I have them at miss the flight. I like their talent. As Football Pharaoh said, they have Joseph Martinez. I think he's going to play in. Jefferson Soteldo from Toronto FC. I think he'll be a lot better with Venezuela because they have a lot more quality right now. I think Soteldo will score goals for them. I think he'll get some assists with them. I think Venezuela, they're not going to get close to a playoff spot. They're going to make a little bit of progress, and they're not going to be a easy team to topple over. I think they'll have a good run, but they'll fall apart at the final couple of hurdles and they'll miss the flight. But I like Venezuela. I do.
Well said. So Venezuela currently 9th after 6 games with 4 points. They have 1 win and 1 draw. So look, for me, I have Venezuela in I have to put them in visa denied. Visa denied. I have them 9th place. They did pick up a win over Chile. That's their only win. But you know what? Well, as a matter of fact, I don't think that win was against Chile. That win was against Chile. That win was definitely against Chile. So they started well, but things like it's getting back to normalcy a bit. So I'm gonna have to put Venezuela in visa denied right here. So Venezuela, the flag right here, bam. That's the Venezuelan flag, right? Football Pharaoh, the flag expert.
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes I get, my brain just disappears and I'm like, I run a blank. So yeah, that happens. So look, we all agree that none of Peru, Bolivia, nor Venezuela will make it to the World Cup. Now let's get to where it's a bit more tricky. Let's talk about a heavy hitter. Let's talk about a team that has always give their fans like mini heart attacks. Uruguay. Let's talk a bit about Uruguay. Football Pharaoh, you kick things off with Uruguay for me, please.
Yeah, Uruguay under the manager Oscar Tabarez has been in charge now since 2006. He's now the longest currently active national team manager in the world. There are concerns about Uruguay as far as an aging in their squad. They do have a lot of young players that have come through the under 20s and the under 23s, but most of their firepower up front has been their talisman, Luis Suarez, Edison Cavani. I think they've gotten off to a pretty lackluster start. I mean, they've dropped points here and there. They're somewhere around the middle of the table. I do think Uruguay, because of the pedigree they have in South America, the fact they've made it to every World Cup this century except for 2006, gotten past the knockout stages of every World Cup since 2010, so that's the last 3 tournaments. I think that because of that, they should be put in at least standby. But if we're talking about a potential big casualty from South America who might miss out if they don't kick it into a higher gear, they look potentially ripe for the picking. In a sort of like maybe a repeat of 2006. And there are questions over Oscar Tabarez's future, as his tenure as manager. He's getting up there in age. He's an ailing man as well. And there's some discontent growing around in the fan base from those that I've interacted with. So, but standby.
You have them on standby. So just to note for the viewers, Uruguay are 2-time World Cup champions. They won it in 1930. And again, when the World Cup came back in 1950, where there was a hiatus for World War II. They have made it to 13 World Cups, but in this current century, it has been like a lot of playoffs and against the likes of New Zealand and Australia and these teams. And Uruguay made it to the quarterfinals back in 2018. They're a very impressive team. They always seem to produce some really talented players in all departments of the field. Suarez, football Pharoah mentioned, Edinson Cavani. They're in the latter years of their careers, but they're still very potent in front of goal. As you saw, Luis Suarez won the Spanish league with Atletico Madrid, proving his Barcelona doubters wrong. Cavani's still putting them into the back of the net for Man United, albeit them not winning anything. But there's guys like Fede Valverde, there's Darwin Núñez, and there's Jose Maria Jimenez at the back. There's still Godin, strong, and there's Muslera still in goal. He's a vet. He's been around forever. Rodrigo Bentancur. The list goes on and on and on, man. They just seem to produce so much talent. You have Facundo Pellistri coming through, and I have Uruguay, even though it's a choppy start, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. They are currently 4th in the table after 6 games. I have them coming in 4th in World Cup qualifiers. Like at the end of it all, I have Uruguay coming in 4th, and I can't see them missing out. I have them going to Qatar. Ryan, where do you have Uruguay?
I have them in standby. They're going to be fighting for that last automatic playoffs or the playoff spot. I believe in them. I do. Do I feel like they're automatically going? No. I have doubts, but I think Uruguay will pick it up and they will use their experience that is still great. It's not like they're on their last legs. That experience is still succeeding at a high level. Cavani and Suarez, they're succeeding at a high level. I think they do make the playoff, and that puts them on standby. I don't really see them getting 4th. I think they get 5th just by a whisker. That's my thought. Uruguay goes in the playoffs, so they'd be on standby for me.
Well said. So we're going to move right on, and the team that we're going to talk about next is Ecuador. So let's talk a bit about Ecuador, and in terms of Ecuador and their World Cup qualification. They made it in 2002, 2006, and in 2014. They have 3 World Cup appearances. They missed out in 2018, and I, in all honesty, think Ecuador are looking good again. They have done some revamping of their association. They changed their badge and everything, and they have gone through a few managerial changes. But I like the talent that's coming through down in Ecuador. There are a lot of youngsters, few of the veterans like an Antonio Valencia, phased out. Enner Valencia is still around. And I like what I'm seeing with Ecuador here, but I'll let Football Pharoah kick it off before I let you know where I have him.
My concern with Ecuador is that they'll revert back to their 2018 World Cup qualifying form. They got off to a great start in that last cycle, but they ended up capitulating after picking up 13 out of their first 15 points, available 15 points, which I look back into this. It's the biggest collapse in the history of South American qualifiers of any cycle. They did get off to a decent start this time around. I think that their manager Gustavo Alfaro has been rebuilding this team. They have some promising guys on their squad that played in this summer's Copa America, where they did the bare minimum to come out of the group before ultimately bowing out in the quarterfinals. The thing with Ecuador is they can be very inconsistent, and what I want to see from them is if for the rest of this cycle they sort of revert back to their old ways, or if they continue to build on what they've been doing under their new management, their Argentine manager. I mean, they got players like Eduard Garcia. They have this guy, I think, Angel Mena Delgado. They went and they were one of the only teams this year, in this calendar year, to actually get a result on Brazil, and that came in this summer's Copa America. They picked up a 1-1 draw, which was a great result for them. It's harder for me to rank Ecuador. I went back and forth between missed the flight and standby. They had the look of a team that could finish in the mid-table but just miss out. But because it is still early on, We'll get a better, more clear picture once this fall's games are played. I have to keep them in consideration, so I put them at standby.
Well said, well said. A few players to watch from Ecuador for the viewers. Enner Valencia, we know of his days at Everton, and he's still very prominent. He's playing for Fenerbahce these days. Moises Caicedo, the 19-year-old, highly rated at Brighton and Hove Albion. There's Alan Franco as well, a youngster to keep an eye on. One player that's very, very exciting is Gonzalo Plata, who plays his football over at Sporting CP. And the list goes on. The list goes on of talented players. One that I definitely have to mention is Villarreal's very own Pervis Estupiñán, who recently triumphed with Villarreal in the Europa League. And they have some really good talent. And surprisingly, Football Pharaoh, I do have them on standby as well. I have them coming in 5th in the playoff. They started well, but they lost their last 2 games, which is not a good sign. And as you say, they could capitulate again like the 2018 cycle. So I have Ecuador in standby. Bam, standby. Ryan, where do you have them?
I have them in going to Qatar. I like what they're building. Angel Mena from Club Leon will be their talisman. I think he'll score a lot of goals for them. Enner Valencia playing well. Estupiñán, as you just said. I like the way they're building things, and I think they're going to push forward. They can be inconsistent, but I think in this case, they're going to look back at the 2018 cycle and be like, that's not what we want to do. I think they'll start buckling down, getting results the way they have to. I think they finish 4th, and I think they go to Qatar. I do. I believe in Ecuador. I believe in Angel Mena pushing them through. I've always rated him. I thought he's been great for Club Leon. I'll give him the fact that he pushes them to Qatar with all the talent around him.
Well said, man. Well said. And that'll be it for Ecuador. We are halfway through, and we get into the teams that it's not so tricky like the teams we just talked about, but there's going to be some cutthroat things going on right about now. Let's move on. Let's give them something really hot right now. Something that we don't really have to spend a whole lot of time on. Let's talk about La Seleção, Brazil. Let's just get him. Let's get him out the way. Let's get him out the way. Ryan, talk to me about Brazil.
They're going to Qatar. They're going to Qatar. They are a top 2 team in Conmebol by far. Neymar, they've got a great team. Dani Alves, Ederson and Alisson in goal. They're both starter level. I think Alisson is better, but you probably think Ederson is better. Brazil's obviously going to Qatar. There's no question about it. If they fail, that's going to probably be the worst failure in World Cup qualifier history in any confederation. Worse than the U.S., worse than Italy. Even if they don't touch the playoff, they're going to make Qatar. I think everybody could agree on that.
Yeah.
Everybody. They're
well
going to
said,
Qatar.
man. Look, there's been 21 World Cups. Brazil has been at every single one of them. When it comes to the World Cup, if you search World Cup on Google, Brazil would pop up. And you'll be like, I thought I searched for World Cup. Why did it give me Brazil in the results? They have won the World Cup 5 times. They are the most successful team in terms of the World Cup. They haven't won it for a while, since 2002. They have been teasing. But guys, come on. This is the biggest no-brainer. 6 matches played, 6 games won, 16 goals scored, 2 conceded. It's just ridiculous what they're doing in Conmebol right about now. Tite, he's doing a great job, and he has the easiest job in terms of a talent pool to pick from. Look at the wealth of talent in Europe. The list is just so long. You have, your Richarlison coming through, your Everton coming through, as you mentioned, Ederson, Alisson, the goalkeeping options. It is just, you have your Neymar, you have your Lucas Paqueta, and a bunch of youngsters. Your Firmino, your Gabriel Jesus, your Fabinho. Oh my God! Like, they're going to Qatar. Football Pharaoh, talk to me.
Yeah, Brazil is pretty much already in Qatar, as far as I'm concerned. I would even create a separate tier for them called booked hotel or even semifinalists minimum. And that's a prediction, by the way. I don't usually get very specific with predictions, but a specific prediction I have for Brazil, they're making at least the last 4 next year. This is a dominant team that has only lost 2 competitive matches against South American opposition in the last 5 years under Tite, and across 2 qualifying cycles from 2018 and this time so far, they haven't lost a single qualifying game. I think that's a total of 23 matches so far under Tite, and it really took something special for them to lose that Copa America final against Argentina. But with guys like Marquinhos, Neymar, Rivero, Richarlison, Firmino, Casemiro, this team is just stacked all over the pitch. They are leaps and bounds better than the opposition in South America. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get a record number of points in this qualifying cycle, possibly even going undefeated.
Well said. The last cycle, 2018, they did create a record amount of points as well. So it seems like they're about to top that. I think it's a possibility that they could actually top it. So let us move on, man. I don't want to waste my time talking about Brazil. It's a no-brainer. You see what I'm saying? So let us move on to a team that's a little bit trickier, and that would be Paraguay. Ryan, talk to me about Paraguay. Where do you have him?
I have him on standby. I think they could fight for that playoff spot. I like Miguel Jaménez. They have good talent. They're not the best of the best, but they can easily pick up results at home and away and pick up the points they need to fight for that 5th place spot, 6th or 5th. I have them on standby. I could totally see them finishing there. They're a good team. I like what they're building, what they have been building. I think they're easily going to be at that level. Not at the top 4, but around the playoff spot, whether they make it or not. Standby.
Well said. So Paraguay has qualified for 8 out of 21 World Cups. They made it in 1930, 1950, 58, long hiatus back in 1986, 1998, where they made it to the round of 16, also the round of 16 in 2002, 2006, and a quarterfinal run in 2010, but they have missed the last 2 World Cups. They look good in 2018. I was really rooting for them, but they fell apart towards the back end of qualifiers, man. I was like, remember Football Fairy? I know you could remember. It was like a really good final day where it was like a lot of 6-pointers in there and everything, and Paraguay lost, and it was just so heartbreaking for them, though, because they look really, really good, man. So for Paraguay, I do have them coming in 7th in terms of them making it to Qatar, 7th, which would put them on standby-ish. I think standby 7th is close, very close to 5th. I think they could fight. But I don't really. I'm more borderline miss the flight. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go for miss the flight. Sorry, Paraguayans. I don't think they're making it. But I'm in between. If there was a tear right here, I'll put them right there. But there's none. So I think they're gonna miss the flight. Talk to me about Paraguay football, Pharoah.
Yeah, I get what you mean by like that sort of like tier in between standby and miss the flight. This is a difficult ranking for me as well. I do have them at miss the flight. I think they're gonna just miss out, but they do have a really promising group of players. Like was mentioned earlier, Miguel Almiron. They have Brian Samudio. He's found the back of the net a couple times in this Copa America. They have Romero Gamara. I think that Paraguay are a team in South America that is always dangerous, especially when they're at home in Asunción in Paraguay. They just have a look of a team that they can go away and get a victory against a superior opposition, but then they'll get a result like dropping points at home like they did earlier this year against Bolivia. Results that could come back to bite them. And as you alluded to in the final match day back in 2018 World Cup qualifying, they lost at home in a very winnable, obligatory win that could have sent them to Russia. They lost to Venezuela. But 4 years is a long time in this sport. Things can change. I think that they're a team that this will probably be their best opportunity to make it back since 2010. They've missed the last two World Cups in 2014, 2018. I think they will get close. I agree with Ryan. I think they definitely can challenge for that playoff spot. As far as a prediction goes, though, I think they will just miss out. So I have them at miss the flight.
Well said. Standout players for Paraguay includes Antonio Sanabria, who plays his football at Torino. The Romero brothers, I used to love using Oscar. I think it was Oscar Romero I loved using in FIFA, man. And I never really used his. I think it's either one of them, man. I can't even remember. They're identical twins. God damn, I'm confused right now. So they have some talent in their team, man. Fabian Balbuena, who now plays his straight at Dynamo Moscow, and they could create a stir. And you mentioned Miguel Almiron, and Andres Cubas is another name that stand out. But we're not gonna get too deeper into the players. For them, they're currently coached by Eduardo Berizzo. So good luck to Paraguay on their quest to make it to Qatar 2022. We got 3 teams left. Let's go. Let us talk about Chile. Talk to me about Chile, Ryan.
I think they missed the flight. I think their players are starting to age out. Vidal and Sanchez, I think they're starting to age out. And again, it's sort of like Peru to me. They are good enough to put up a fight, to try to fight for the outside looking in, to keep up, to get to that playoff spot. But I don't think they do. I think they fall apart. They capitulate the last 2 match days. I think that's probably what's going to happen to them. I like Chile, but their players are just going to run out of gas. They're starting to, and I think it's going to be a very rocky road for them and a very harsh letdown for them at the end. So miss the flight for Chile.
Well said, man. Well said. Look, I like what you said about the age. For Chile, they would need their veterans to come full circle here. That's would be their saving grace if they are to make it back to the World Cup. For them, they have made it to 9 World Cups. They were last there in 2014. They made it in 2010, 98, 1982, 74. They placed 3rd in 1962, a World Cup they hosted. So they have World Cup pedigree. And it was so disappointing that after winning back-to-back Copa Americas, they missed out in 2018. I don't know how that happened with the stars they had in their team and everything. I don't know how that happened. I'm still searching for an explanation to how them and the USA did not qualify for the 2018 World Cup. You know what I'm saying? But we're talking about 100-cap veterans like Alexis Sanchez here, right? He needs to step up big time for for Chile, pardon me. Needs to step up. Then there's Eduardo Vargas. There's Jean Bosseger. These guys have 100 caps. 100 plus. Arturo Vidal. Charles Aranguiz closing in on 100. But there's also Mauricio Isla, Gary Medel, and Claudio Bravo. Chile it seems like it's a nursing home over there right now. But they would need their veterans to actually put on those cleats, gear up, and go out there, play tough football, and take Chile back to the World Cup. But right now, it's not looking good. 6 matches, 6 points. Only 1 win so far in qualifiers. That ain't looking good at all. That is not very promising for Chile, man. Not very promising. So for me, I have Chile finishing 8th. And that would put them in miss the flight. So I'll have them in miss the flight. Football Fur, talk to me.
Yeah, I think they're in trouble. I think that this is a continuation of their golden generation being going through the works and really being on the way out. I have them at miss the flight. I think that because they still have that core group of players like Vargas and Aranguiz and Sanchez and Fuenzalida, I think that it'll keep them in contention. They're doing enough now to stay above water to be at least in the conversation, to not be so readily dismissed. But I think they're going to miss out on a second successive World Cup, possibly not even getting close to the playoff. They could finish somewhere between like 7th and 9th in the table. I'm not confident about Chile's prospects whatsoever. I think they're going to miss the World Cup, and they'll have a lot of assessing to do with trying to create like a new generation. There doesn't really seem to be very many young guys coming through the ranks, though, so they could be going on the verge of a long, long drought. Miss the flight.
Well said, man. I think they have one young guy coming through right now. He plays in the Bundesliga. I can't remember. His name is not coming to me right now. But he's really no, I think he plays in Italy. He has like a lot of tattoos. I don't know if you could remember his name. God damn. His name is eluding me right about now. But Eric Pulgar. He's 27, but still, he's one of the bright spots. He's not like 40 or 45 like Vidal and Sanchez and all those other guys. I'm just joking. Those guys are not that old, but you get what I'm saying. So I don't think they're going to qualify, and none of us do. We're going to move on to the second to last team here, and we're going to do Argentina, give them the honors of being the last team since they are the current Copa America champions. Goddamn, Messi finally won a trophy with Argentina. But let's talk about Colombia. Ryan, talk to me about Colombia, Los Cafeteros.
I think they're on standby. They have talent. James Rodriguez, Yenny Mina, they were in the semifinals of the Copa America this year. I like Colombia. They've made the World Cup. They were in the round of 16 against England in 2018. Was round of 16. For me, I like Colombia. They have talent. They could play together. I think they're going to be fighting for top 4, but they could fall into the playoff. But I think Colombia has a good chance to go to the World Cup. I think they could push on. Depends on where they finish, but I have them on standby. I'm not 100% sure they go automatically, but I think they're probably going, but I have them on standby for me.
Well said, Ryan. Well said. So, in terms of Colombia and their World Cup pedigree, they have qualified for 6 World Cup. Most of them coming most recently. From 1990, they qualified 94, 98. Carlos Valderrama comes to mind. And they had a hiatus, missing the next 3 World Cups after 98. I could remember watching Carlos Valderrama at the 1998 World Cup. That was my first World Cup. And in 2014, they made it to the quarterfinal, a golden run, man. And James Rodriguez, he was a star of that World Cup and everything. And they made it to the round of 16 back in 2018, only missing out, versus England, as we know. Very feisty game there. Look, for Colombia, I do have them doing well because for some reason, they just keep churning out some high-quality players. They start in South America and then they get shipped off to Europe, but there's always some very, 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 very good players in that Colombian team. They were under Carlos Queiroz, but now he has left the job, and it's now Ronaldo Rueda. And there's just so many talented players. I know James has not been on top of his game over the last couple months because he's not really been playing a lot of football, but there's quality all over the field. David Ospina in goal. You have Davinson Sanchez at the back there. And he's not the best, but Yerry Mina comes to mind. Juan Cuadrado, even though he's getting up there in age, but there's so much quality in the midfield, like a Vilbar, Barrios, a Juan Quintero. Remember what Juan Quintero did a few years ago? I think that was the Copa America back in 2019. And they just keep producing these players. Radamel Falcao is still around as well. Luis Diaz of Porto comes to mind. I don't know how long he'll be at Porto, but They have a very, very, very talented team. I have them coming third. I have them going to Qatar again. So Colombia, do not let me down. They're currently 5th. They have 8 points after 6 games. I think they're going. Football Fair, talk to me.
Yeah, I have Colombia at standby. I think that there were, early on in this qualifying cycle, there were questions over whether or not there'd be a little bit of squad instability, especially with the whole controversy around James Rodriguez and his future with this team, and like if he'll be playing a role in this going forward. They had their new manager Ronaldo Rueda come in, and he was under a lot of pressure for this team to perform. They defied expectations heading into the Copa America by ultimately finishing with the bronze, and they seem to finally be finding their footing again, with or without James Rodriguez. And I think that they have overall too much individual depth over the likes of other teams in the standings, like a Paraguay or a Chile or a Peru. And I think at the very least they have to be on standby. I think their odds of qualifying for the World Cup are above 50%. I like their odds of making it. Am I confident that they will? No, but to put them lower than in that second tier, I think would be nonsensical.
Well said, well said. And last but not least, the 2022 World Cup champions, Argentina. I'm just joking around there, but who knows, man. Look, I'm gonna start this off. I have Argentina coming in second in World Cup qualifiers behind Brazil, just because Brazil are just so damn good. So I'm gonna just go ahead and put Argentina right there, because I think winning that Copa America is sending a clear message. We are not playing around. They have 12 points after 6 matches, 3 draws, 3 wins. Unbeaten. They mean business. Lionel Messi means business. He has just left Barcelona. A new era has begun. The Copa America win, I think, is part of that era. It's a new Messi, and different things are going to happen. He's out to win things. He missed out in 2014 when they came so close. If it wasn't for Mario Götze's brilliance and scoring that goal, Argentina and Argentina's ineptness in front of goal as well. You think about guys like Ezekiel Lavezzi and Gonzalo Higuain and all. You know what I mean? Argentina could have won the 2014 World Cup, where they placed second and got the silver. But we know their pedigree. 17 out of 21 World Cup qualifications. They won it in 78, won it in 1986. RIP to their GOAT, Diego Maradona, as well. He passed away recently. And I think his spirit is actually with the Argentinian team, blessing them. It seems like he's actually doing more good when he is not like alive talking a bunch of crap. Just don't mean to be disrespectful, but you guys know what I mean. But I have them going to Qatar. Ryan, where do you have them?
I have them in going to Qatar. Argentina is a great team. They have a lot of talent. They have Di Maria. They have Messi. They have Dybala. They have an amazing group of talent. And Lionel Messi won his deserved international trophy, but I think they want to win more. They want to send Messi out on a high note. Not send him out, but have him not end on a crescendo, but just keep on having an amazing sort of closing chapter to his career. It's kind of like Tom Brady. He's not done yet, but this is the closing chapter. I think Messi, they're playing for him. They're playing for the 210s. They're playing for the late Diego Maradona in his memory, and they're playing for Messi. And they're fighting for every inch. And trust me when I say this Argentina team is probably the strongest they've ever been, because they have this giant amount of momentum and belief that they could do anything, in their world beaters. And I believe they will finish a close second in the qualifying, but in the World Cup, you don't want to see Argentina. You don't. But they're going to Qatar.
Well said, man. Listen, Lionel Scaloni, he's doing a great job with this team, man. And as you said, they are at the strongest they've been in a very long time. The selection is on point. To beat Brazil in Brazil is a statement as well. And I'm just going to let Football Pharoah do the honors and finish things off here. Talk to me.
Yeah, a lot of past Argentine managers the last 20-30 years have just been unable to find that winning formula, and you got to give credit to the young manager, Lionel Scaloni. He seems to have figured out his squad, and I echo what both you and Ryan said. This Argentine team has been playing with intent. They're actually playing for Messi, and they're fighting for each other, and you saw how they performed all throughout the Copa America this summer. To beat Brazil, in Brazil in a Copa America final, history was very much so against them. They hadn't beaten their arch rivals in a competitive game since 2005, and they hadn't won any major senior men's international trophy since 1993, a month before I was born. So that's you think that, and you look at Argentina being a footballing powerhouse nation, and you think, wow, that's like a really long, inexcusable drought. Yeah, I don't want to have to come up against them next year in Qatar either, and they will be going to Qatar. I think they'll finish second behind Brazil. I'm not sure how far behind because Brazil is so OP levels of strong. But yeah, they are looking much better than I thought they would be at this point, especially in the aftermath of the last World Cup where they just had a borderline disaster, doing barely enough to come out of the group stages before bowing out to the eventual winners, France. And yeah, this team is a far cry from Jorge Sampaoli's side of that summer. So yeah, credit to Scaloni for what he's done. And honestly, I think the football world is relieved that Messi has finally won a trophy for his country. You could tell how much it meant to him, the expression on his face, like he needed some silverware with Argentina.
Well said, man. Well said. Listen, it was a great achievement, and I think they're on course to make it to Qatar. So look, guys, this one actually went on longer than I thought. We really went in on South America, man. I thought we were gonna do like 10 teams, 25 minutes, we're done, but damn, we did great. We did great. There got to be part 1 and part 2 here because this was awesome. This was awesome. So guys, look, I appreciate it. We have more to talk about. We have CONCACAF to talk about. We have Asia to talk about. If you like this type of content, Football Pharoah and I did Europe and we did Africa. And next year, maybe Christmas time, when we know the format for OFC, we'll do Oceania as well. So, Ryan, tell the people where they can find you again. Football Pharoah, you're going to do the same, and then we'll move on.
You can find me on YouTube. Look up Ryan Anderson. Make a lot of CONCACAF content, Toronto FC content, MLS. Sometimes talk about other sports because I can. You can find me on Twitter at @RyanAnderson_27. If you want to find me on TikTok or Instagram, just change that underscore to a period. And that's the biggest places you can find me. That's where I really focus on with the content, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or TikTok. That's where I really focus. So you can
Football
find me
Pharoah.
Yeah, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Football Pharoah, same name. Also on Twitter, Soccer Pharoah. That's Football Pharoah @Soccer Pharoah. That's soccer_Pharoah. Thank you for having me on. It was nice to work with both you guys. And yeah, I look forward to talking about CONCACAF in Asia when we get to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure working with you guys. I listen, I could have done it alone, but I'd rather not. So, you know what I mean? It was fun. It was a lot of fun. So, guys, subscribe to all 3 channels. The links would be in the description box down below for Ryan and Football Pharoah's channel. Like the video if you like it. You can play the tail list. I'll leave a link to the tail list in the description as well. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And from all 3 of us, until next time, peace out. Rich Squad. Peace. Namaste.